Hey there YouTube, it's Q2000. I've decided I want to do a head-to-head of my best slingshots. I think it's time, especially considering that I just got in the mail the new super fancy limited edition Scout LT. I love the Scout LT. I'll do a little bit of a comparison with the original Scout LT, but I really just kind of want to shoot them off and essentially try to grade the slingshots that I find are my best slingshots, or my favorite slingshots. So we're going to take a look at the Wasp Unifox G10 Target Master. We're going to look at the AA catapults. It's called the Ghost, but I like to call it the Bloodletter just because of the design. We're going to look at obviously the new Scout LT, and then we'll also just do a little comparison with the Sniper Sling S Robin. I have some more, I guess, more detailed reviewed videos of all these slingshots, with the exception of the new Scout LT. And I just want to kind of come out here and shoot while I still have a little bit of light. So let's first take a look at the G10 Target Master. Now I love the Wasp Unifox. And this is kind of a beefed up version of the Wasp Unifox. So instead of it being plastic, we got more G10, actually layered G10, which is really nice. But you are somewhat limited. So the things that I'm going to be kind of scoring them on is one, ergonomics. I think that's a really important factor. Like, how does it feel in the hand? I'll score it on versatility. I always take a 1 to 10 for each category. I'll say accuracy, but again, accuracy is really more determined by the shooter. Ergonomics can kind of feed into that, but for me, sometimes when I grab one frame, it just seems a little bit more accurate to me at that point in time. So there could be small little things that I'm doing that are changing that. And I think that's about it. I don't know if I said versatility or not, but that's going to be kind of a big thing when comparing that. So for the first off, with the Wasp Unifox, I don't want to go through all the specs and everything like that, but it is a good slingshot. You know, it is not quite as versatile. So in terms of versatility, compared to some of the other frames, I'm probably going to give it maybe a 7. And that's only because you are limited to tying on the bands, and you're limited to only over the top. Now, with the standard Unifox, you know, versatility would probably go up quite a bit, because you have the clips you can choose to do over the top or through the fork. You can tie on the bands if you wanted to. You can put on tubes. You can put on tubes with the G10 Target Master as well. But of my higher end slingshots, again, versatility would probably be in the 7 or 8 range. In terms of you know, accuracy, again, that's dependent a lot on the shooter, but I find it fairly accurate for me. I like that you can do the frame brace grip. I like the pinky hole. So that kind of, oops, missed that one. Adds to the accuracy a little bit when it comes to that. Ergonomics, I would probably give it I'll say an 8 on ergonomics. It took me a while to kind of get used to that frame brace grip. I know I talked about it in a lot of my other videos, but once you do get kind of used to it, it actually, this thin slingshot really does quite well in your hand. I missed that one again. And so it is fairly comfortable to shoot. And it's just a really nice piece to look at. So of my kind of higher end slingshots, this is definitely near the top, but because it's not quite as versatile, I'm going to ding it down just a little bit on that one. I still do love this slingshot. In fact, I carry the standard Unifox with me most of the time, just because it is so thin, and that's one of the things that I love about the Unifox. It just goes right into your pocket. And yeah, you can go with you anywhere. So great slingshot all around. The next one I want to look at is the AA catapults, the Bloodletter. This one, you know, just for a cool factor, gets a pretty high score. And again, I find it a fairly accurate. You are, again, limited to the frame brace grip. I mean, you can do, they do have a little bit of flares here on the frame itself, so you could potentially do a pinch grip. So in that respect, it may be a little bit more versatile than the Wasp Unifox. I'm just not doing too great today. It's getting kind of cold out too, so that might be part of the problem. But again, it's not the most versatile frame that I have, simply because, again, you're only limited to over the top. Now, you don't have to tie on the bands. You can if you want to, but it does have an Allen key kind of quick clip attachment system. That makes it a little bit nicer. So, you know, if I were to put the Unifox at a 7, I'd probably give this one an 8. A little bit more versatile in that sense, but it's not something that you can really just kind of tune to your liking with regard to shooting style and whatever else. Accuracy, again, highly dependent on the person, but I find it to be a fairly accurate slingshot. Ergonomics, I'm going to probably give it a 6 or a 7. I mean, it fits my hand nicely, but there are a lot of sharp edges on here, and they have kind of rounded them off a little bit. But I do find that it gets a little bit uncomfortable after repeated shooting. And you get some hot spots and whatever else. So it's definitely not the most ergonomic slingshot that I have, but it fits nicely. And it's a fun slingshot to shoot. In terms of value, I think that's one of the other categories I should have done. Value. This is, I think, the most expensive slingshot I've ever had to buy. It's a custom slingshot. It was handmade and everything. Beautiful piece of work, but it was super pricey. It was like $160 or $170 when you did all the transactions or conversion fees and whatever else. But, you know, that's the price of a custom. So when you buy custom stuff, they're going to be a lot more expensive. Value for the Wasp Unifox Target Master, I'd probably give it, probably again, maybe an 8. I think it came in, I forgot actually on this one. I want to say it was like $80 or $90 when it came through. So when you get into kind of these higher end slingshots, I mean, $80, $90 might sound ridiculous. But for a high quality slingshot like this, I mean, I find it to be a pretty good value. I'm just not hitting it. Sniper sling. Easily one of my top slingshots. If I only had a chance to grab one or two, this would be one of those two. Mainly because of the ergonomics. The ergonomics on this thing are just phenomenal. I'm giving it a solid 10 in terms of ergonomics. Like the swells and everything, it just like nestles into my hand. I love it. I love everything about it. Yeah, so it's the best feeling slingshot. I think I said that in my previous video that I think I've ever held. It just feels so great. In terms of versatility, you are limited in this one to just through the fork. So you can't switch between the two. It does have quick clip band attachments, so that makes it a pretty versatile slingshot, really easy to pull them out and you know, swap bands or whatever else. Value, probably again maybe a 6 or a 7. It was pretty expensive, $118 I think. So you know, definitely one of the more expensive slingshots. Ooh, almost hit a white-breasted nuthatch. Glad I didn't get him. Yeah, great slingshot overall. Cool factor, again, probably a 10 if cool factor were one of the categories I originally talked about. It's just a cool slingshot, and I love it. So let's get to the nitty-gritty of why I really wanted to do this video, is to kind of show off and talk about the brand spanking new Simpleshot limited edition series. So they have a limited edition Scout LT, which is this one. You can get a limited edition Axiom Ocularis. Both great slingshots. This one is super fun. I love it. It might have brought the Scout LT back into my top Slingshot. I think it certainly is a close contender. So with the original Scout LT, now I should also mention that this is the original limited edition Scout LT that came in different colors. You know, this has all the same elements, except this one is now made out of aluminum instead of plastic. And again, everything you love about the Scout LT is present in the limited edition, the metal version. You know, the quick clips, or flip clips, I guess is what they call them. So you can shoot over the top or through the fork. And in fact, I think they've increased the versatility of the new one, because now instead of having to have a flathead screwdriver to loosen these, which again really isn't much of a problem, but you now have the option of putting on some finger tightening screws. So you don't need to carry a screwdriver with you or a pocket knife or something like that. So for versatility, the new limited edition Scout LT, 10 out of 10, easily. In terms of ergonomics, it's up there. It's a little bit, I'll be honest, it's a little bit less comfortable than the original Scout. And I think it's just because it's a hair, I don't know if it's a hair thinner or what. They're definitely very close in comparison. I probably can't see with the band there. But I just feel like there's a little bit more of some sharp edges on the new Scout LT. If you found the original comfortable, you will probably find this one is comfortable. You just, again, might notice when I'm doing the pinch grip on it that, especially like right here at the thumb, it does kind of give you a little bit of a hot spot there. But otherwise, again, in terms of ergonomics, if I were going to give it a score, I'd probably give it an 8. So pretty high up there. Accuracy, I'll give it a 9. You know, I felt pretty comfortable shooting it right out of the gate. I did shoot my little 2-inch spinner out there, and I got it like 3 or 4 times in a row from about, this is probably 12 or 13 yards away. I'll take a shot at it right now, see if I can get it. I don't know if I can or not. Missed it. Got the tree though. Definitely has a cool factor. Probably be a 9 or a 10 on the cool factor. Because it's definitely a very recognizable slingshot at this point. And I do like the fact that it's, you know, metal. You know, it's heavy. It's definitely a lot more dense than the original LT. I find that when I shoot the original Scout LT, when I actually have flat bands on it, not when I have this, it's so light, and I even put the handle weight in there. It's so light that when I release, I tend to get a little bit of more of a flip, whereas this one is dense enough that I feel that I'm not getting as much of a flip in the end, and I think that might help a little bit with accuracy. So when I shoot it, it doesn't really go forward as much. It is significantly heavier. I presume you could put a handle weight in here if you wanted to, but I'm not really inclined to do that. It's heavy enough as it is. So just generally a fun slingshot. So what else about it did I want to mention? Oh, in terms of value. So value is the other thing. This I think came in at $85. Really fast shipping. I think I got it in like 2 days after I ordered it, which is great. And $85 is a lot. And a lot of people are sitting there saying, well, you know, is it that much better than the original Scout LT, which you can get for $35? And there's a couple things that you might want to think about when you do that. So yes, you can get this guy for $35. And is this 2.5 times better than this? Not necessarily, but you also have to kind of factor in the other things that you get with it. So you get the awesome carrying case. And they sell this carrying case separately. So this is a $20 carrying case. I mean, it's nothing more than kind of like just a pistol case. So it's nothing too fancy. You can find a really cheap pistol case if you wanted. But if you kind of factor that in, you know, if you bought a Scout LT for $35 and then you had a $20 case that came with it, so now you're up to $55, Now you're just talking about the difference of $30, right? And so in that case, I think it might be far more comparable in terms of value. Still a little bit of expensive, and if you don't want to spend that kind of money on a slingshot, I mean, certainly just go for the original Scout LT. I mean, it's just as good of a slingshot. Sans, maybe now that we have the finger tightening things, I think that's a pretty cool thing. I was really excited about it. So value, in comparison to the original, I would say probably like a 7 or an 8. But if it value as a whole, I mean, again, if you're comparing it to $170 custom slingshots, I think it's a great value. So I'd easily give it a 9 when it came to do just overall value when you're comparing that. And then you also got to factor in the fact that it is a limited edition, right? So it's not going to be around forever. And so, the value may go up at some point in time. This could be a collector's item. You could end up selling it. Whenever I post a picture or video or something of the original limited edition, the swamp green version, I always get somebody saying like, hey, you thinking about selling that LT because I can't find them anymore. And so currently I'm not planning on selling it, just to head people off. But I think it's one of those things that could go up in value over time. So, I bought it for at the original price. I think it was still $35. I don't think there was any additional value to the limited edition version. But, one of these days I might be able to sell it for $50 or $60 or something like that. And this may be the same thing with the metal version. So, yeah, I'm just nailing all the plates with it, so that kind of gives you an idea of accuracy / ergonomics for me. But I will again kind of mention, you can kind of see, I don't know, probably not in the camera, but where I'm gripping it, it's getting a little bit raw on my hand, also because it's kind of cold out. But so it's not quite an exact duplicate. I never can hit that spinner on camera, drives me nuts. It's not an exact duplicate, it's pretty dang close, but I think it's a great slingshot, and I'm proud to say that I think this is going to make it to my top slingshot. I haven't really shot it enough. I've only probably put about maybe 50 or 60 shots through it, and I haven't done any steel yet. So yeah, I think that's great. Another kind of cool thing about the slingshot when you get it, I don't have all the stuff here, but they send you some goodies. They send you some 2 band sets, 2 pre-made band sets. They sent out 0.7 millimeter, which is a little bit heavy for these 3/8 clay balls. You can kind of tell, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I'm getting kind of those streak marks that you get when you're over banded, so there's too much latex for the amount of ammo. It'd probably be fine for 3/8 inch steel, and I'm not too worried. As soon as these wear out, I'm just going to pop on some 0.6 because that's what I like to shoot normally. But you get 2 band sets, you get a nice little ammo carrying case, a little pouch, a little rubber pouch that you can put, I think, like 28 pieces of 3/8 in, and then you get the flip clips and the attachments and things. And that's kind of another cool thing about the Scout, is if you don't like the flip clips, you don't want the added weight or whatever, you don't have to put them on there. You can tie them on like a normal slingshot. And much like the Wasp Unifox, if you didn't want the scales, you can take the scales off really easily, and then you'll actually have a little pinky hole for it. So that's one of the things that I love about the Scout, is just that it's a super versatile slingshot. So if you like one particular style or to grip it in a certain way, I think this is the slingshot for you. So definitely give them a check out. I don't know how much longer they'll be around. But yeah, it's definitely a good slingshot. I'm gonna go for the spinner and see if I can hit it on the last shot that I'm gonna take tonight. I missed it. Oh, I got one more piece of ammo. I'm gonna give it one more shot. All right. Nope, not getting it. Oh well, I'll keep practicing. I'll get better. So thanks a lot, and hope you enjoyed the video, and take it easy.